here with Lily Kuonen. Tell me about the show that's coming up.
The show is going to be an open studio night at our studio, which we have dubbed the Clay and Canvas Studio. This will be our third open studio night that we have hosted. We decided to do 2 a year, and I've been here just a little over a year. So we had one around this time last year in just the beginning of December, and then we hosted one in May as well. So they're kind of biannual events. We also have a space reserved in our studio that is, we'll call it the White Walls area. It's a little bit nicer, cleaner, and it's the place where we like to host other artists in our space. So last May we hosted Mark Cregan, and this time in November we are hosting Kenneth, Eric Adams, and then Jesse Gilmartin as well. And they are both ceramicists as well as other talents. And we also like to kind of bring in several different options to the table in terms of we're aware that we're located in Riverside in a certain area in Jacksonville, and so we try to reach out to our community partners, and we are happy to be partnering with Intuition for this, and they have sponsored beer for the event. Previous sponsors have been Bold Bean as well as Bold City, and then also conveniently, my upstairs neighbor is Matthew Moyer, who is of the Lost in the Stacks, and so they will be DJing for the event. So, yeah.
He's a good guy.
I get that, from him.
How did you get to know the other artists in the exhibition?
Tiffany Whitfield Leach is my studio mate, and she is a ceramicist and has been in Jacksonville a little longer than me. Not by much, but a little longer than me. And Eric and Jesse are actually JU alums, and Tiffany and I both teach at Jacksonville University. I did not have them in school. They graduated much earlier than I moved here, but Tiffany has been wanting to do a show with them for a while, and for a while we were talking about hosting for lack of a better way to say it, a 2D artist and a 3D artist at the same time in the space. But that hasn't worked out yet, necessarily. However, Eric and Jesse are both producing three-dimensional sculptural works as well as wall pieces. So, there is that element going on. Eric works at Ready Arts. He's a manager there, and then also works at the recently rebooted Murray Hill Art Center, and Jesse is an art teacher as well as working at the Murray Hill Art Center as well. So they're both pretty active artists in the community. So
you're from Arkansas?
I am originally from Arkansas. Yes.
When were you born?
When was I born?
Yes.
I was born July 31st, 1984.
What sign does that make you?
A Leo.
Oh, indeed. How did you get into art? Like, that's a weird question, but it's a stupid question. But what I mean to say is, tell me about your personal journey into the life of a creative artist / educator / facilitator of art events for others, etc.
Oh, I like to joke that my sister is a mathematician, so I had no other choice. But I really grew up in a household that fostered our own interest in expression. I have an older sister, and then my parents, my mom and dad, who've been married like 35 years or something now. And they were musicians, among many other things. My mom is also a Montessori school teacher, and my father is also in green energy. And so my sister and I, growing up, we were, even though we didn't have very much, we never felt lacking, if that makes sense. We felt very rich, in what we had to do, like playing outside and drawing on the floor and whatever, and I was never made to feel like what I was interested in was wrong or bad to pursue. So I think that creativity was always fostered in us to a certain degree. And I grew up around so many really wonderfully talented people, not only in music but in other avenues, early generations of graphic design and things like that, through posters and zines and things like that, sort of really early generation stuff, that it was never something separate. It was always just a part of life, you know. In that sense, it really doesn't feel like I ever chose it, that it was just already my direction. So it's kind of a strange question to answer, because I don't feel like I ever took it up, so to speak.
It was just always there.
It was always there, yeah.
Can you recall some artists who made a strong impression on you early on? Or as far as, you know, people doing things kind of the way you wanted to do it?
I think that on one hand, I was brought up in this kind of environment where it was all sort of okay, you know, whatever you wanted to do. But I was trying to seek something that was maybe something that I could own as my own. And my parents were musicians, and so I kind of didn't want to be a musician because that was their thing, you know. But my dad could draw really well, and he drew comics and all this stuff, you know. And apparently my grandfather was also a really good artist, but he died before I was born, so I don't know about that. My mom, being an elementary school teacher, always had just reams of paper and stuff, and so I always had the supplies, and we didn't have cable TV or anything like that, so it was just kind of entertain yourself. As far as like a artist that had a big impact on me, I don't know. My mom took us to the library a lot, and I always geared towards books about artists, so I guess I had read about them and seen them, and I went to an arts magnet elementary school, so we always went to productions at the Art Center and things like that. So it was definitely like part of the equation, you know, so to speak. But I don't know if there was a particular artist that really sold me on the the choice, I guess. I don't know.
Do you consider your art to exist within any type of lineage or tradition, or is it something that you set out apart from what's going on?
No, I very much do believe that it is part of a lineage or a tradition, but I hope that it straddles a lot of different traditions. Beyond that of just art in particular. I think that several contextual things that I play off of, especially forms relating to painting or sculpture or certain genres, you know, post-minimalist, whatever, you know, whatever you want to say. I think it definitely lies in a dialogue with that. I also think, though, that it straddles a lot of other things that inform it, perhaps, especially ideas of construction and rebuilding, or sort of transitional kind of restoration, as well as even like children's playgrounds and sandboxes and all these things. I definitely think that they are not divorced from the work at all.
So it's part of an overall aesthetic that you see in everything. What are your favorite types of materials to work with?
Well,
Since you've worked with, I guess, everything at this point.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of stuff. People, when they see my work, think that they want to put it in a certain category. And for me, it's still very much rooted in a form and context of painting. And so all the materials of painting are there and able for me to use them, you know, like paint and canvas and wood, all these things that are components, but then also everything that I've had to turn to in my studio also is sort of free game. Pretty much if it's there, I can use it. So ratchet straps and trash and clamps and like whatever is there, it's pretty much, I feel like it's in the context of the work because it's part of the environment that it was made in. You know, you see I mean, this is maybe like a really bad example, but like an outsider artist who's just kind of pulled together these random things, but they were things that was like part of their life, right, to make this new assemblage or something. It's kind of in a similar vein where it's stuff that's there that's a part of what I'm doing, and so it has every right to be in the work itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it
But I've been drawing a lot lately. I don't know if that counts.
Absolutely.
I tend to draw more in the fall and make bigger things in the spring because I'm the life of an academic.
Absolutely. Which is an interesting thing, the artist's lifestyle, as we generally think of it, is not really conducive to getting up early and things like that. Is it difficult to balance, the needs of being an educator with the needs of being an artist?
I don't know. So, I was born at 2:40 in the morning, and so my mom always says that I can go to bed late and wake up early because I was born at the right time of the day for that. So it is not. I mean, I don't know if necessarily like I'm not a morning person or not, whatever. It doesn't really play into it. I do think that there is a certain amount of understanding of management, and it becomes a little bit of a dividing your brain, in the interests that you have going on, because you have the personal interests of your studio, but you also have the interest in your students and how much you care about them. You have your program, your college, your institution, your specific division. So you have a lot of sort of parties that are, requiring your interest, and very rightly so, And so to some degree, you kind of have to divide the space. And for me, one way to deal with that has been really kind of clear divisions about where I get things done. Like the bedroom is for sleeping, the office is for working on paperwork, the studio is for this. And so having kind of like environmental setups that will condone certain work practices at those times, I guess.
Absolutely, I understand.
Yeah.
Because I do the opposite thing. Like with me, all my lines and boundaries are very blurred. There's no set space. I
used to have that problem. Yeah, especially when I was adjuncting, because I didn't have an office at school, and then you become much more like sort of nomadic. Not that I'm not nomadic, but I just realized that part of me benefits from understanding specifically where I need to do something.
Yes.
Yeah. But I very much feel informed by my students. I get a lot of, not necessarily inspiration, but I'm very interested in the sort of inner workings that go on and the way that I observe their transition, because they're very much in a complete transitional state, Teaching higher education, individuals are very different even from day to day because of what they're learning and experiencing at such a rapid rate. And I'm very interested in that kind of cyclical process. So I don't necessarily divide in terms of like this is only this and this is only, like it's all kind of part of this process that's brewing, I guess.
You teach at Jacksonville University. Mm-hmm. Where did you teach before you got to Jacksonville?
I taught at College of Charleston in South Carolina.
Beautiful city.
Yes, very beautiful city. But Jacksonville University is a very beautiful campus too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Jacksonville is interesting, but for different ways than Charleston was.
Excellent music selection in the library, like the jazz stuff. They have a lot of stuff that you can't find anywhere. It's out of print and whatnot. It's good for them. Mm-hmm. When you go to create, when you step in the studio, is it a different state of mind? Do you have to, as they say, psych yourself up, or is it a different Lily that's in the studio than the Lily that's in the classroom, or the Lily that's hanging out right now?
It's I think the way that I've had to tailor my working processes have changed over time. Mm-hmm. When you're in grad school, you're just immersed in it all the time, and you can just basically live in your studio and in these thoughts, And so there's no, end point to it. It just kind of it's very flexible. And as I've been dealing with educating and everything like that, then you have to start divvying up your time a little bit more. It's not that the creative process is stifled by it at all, but you're very clear about the fact that you're like, okay, I can leave right now, and I've got about 6 hours I can spend in the studio. And so I think I definitely have a little bit more of a clear goal maybe when I enter the studio. I never really know how it's going to turn out, but I might go, I'm going to go make a drawing today. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to go build this shelf because that's what I want to do. Or I'm just going to go mess around, and I know I've got this amount of time to do that. So I definitely think a little bit in advance about what I might embark on for, or sometimes it's just a cleaning day, like, I got to go move this stuff out, Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's necessarily psyching myself up to it. And I'm very much prone to just sitting and staring a lot in the studio. And sketching sort of monotonously, I have tons and tons of sketches that have never become anything more than just, messes in my notebook. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's just that. And those days are just kind of ideation days, where you're just thinking and looking. When I'm coming up to deadlines on shows, though, it gets very specific, which is kind of, converse to the normal creative process maybe. But when you're getting up to next to deadlines, I'll even make these really long lists of things, in orders of which, how it needs to happen, especially considering like drying time and things like that. So meeting deadlines becomes, when you're in, 3 months out to a show or something, it can be a lot more liberal. But when you're meeting a deadline, you have to get a little bit closer.
That's true. Tell me about some of the places your work has been shown, featured around these United States of America. Hey, how you doing?
Well, recently in Jacksonville, I've been included in a lot of exciting things, which was really nice because that was kind of my, not mission necessarily, but I wanted to sort of address myself with the community first because I knew that was something kind of lacking in me. So I've been here for just a little over a year, close to a year and a half, I guess now. So I was a part of the Highway Gallery as a featured artist with Florida Mining when they paired with Clear Channel. And then I also was a part of a show at Florida Mining earlier, back in May, I think, or April? I can't remember. I've also shown with Christina Ford a few times, which has been really nice. I've also shown at the University of Maryland. I'll be sending work to Bloomington, Indiana in a week and a half. I showed quite a bit in Savannah when I was living there. I showed some in Charleston too when I was there. I've shipped stuff off to Chicago. I was from Arkansas. I used to show, I guess the biggest show I had there was at the Historic Arkansas Museum. And maybe the biggest thing that I've been a part of, mostly just because I still don't really comprehend it, but I sent work off to Hong Kong, which was maybe to date like the largest, coolest thing maybe. Yeah. But that's out of the U.S. Sorry.
Oh, that's we are all one people, as they say.
I'm having to challenge myself more and more though, with how things ship or how things move. The show that I just did up in the University of Maryland, everything had to fit in the back of my minivan, to get it up there and then sort of unfold in the process when we got there and reinstall it. And so that's kind of an issue too, with the work that I make in particular. And that becomes a little bit of honing in on an idea. If I'm sketching or working on something and I know it's going to be shipped somewhere, then I have to consider a little bit more about the mechanics of that.
Walk up this way?
Sure.
Or we can go that way. How many pieces do you think you've created during your career at this point, if you can estimate?
Well, I recently redesigned my website this summer that included work from 2009 onward. So 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
So 4 years worth of work, and there's probably upwards of 150 to 200 works on there, maybe, for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I think maybe 150.
Fantastic.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overshooting it a little bit. 120.
Well, it's cool it's all documented.
Yeah, well,
I'll go on the website and count them.
You can count them.
Later. Yes.
You can tell. Actually, it's only 75 lineages.
Well,
I'm just going. I think I had about 30 in each year.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's 4 years.
That's a good steady pace,
Yeah. Well, I make a lot.
As you should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a numbers game in a sense. The more. I mean, I'm a freelancer. In the writing world, seems like the more stuff you're doing, the more places you're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of it's like a salary type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to stay busy.
Right. Definitely.
My time management is atrocious. It's like I went from being a kid that collected watches to someone who, I can intuit the time, but beyond that, I rarely even check the clock unless I have an appointment or something. Don't know why.
You want to curve back through here?
Sure, yeah.
A little stroll.
Yes. A walking tour of Riverside.
Whoa. That was really in there.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
Well, I happen to find my studio really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great because you can make as many messes as you want.
Yeah, that's true.
I really like to bike, so I ride my bike quite a bit. I love to travel, and can do it pretty cheaply. So I kind of take advantage of any opportunity I have to scoot around, I guess.
Where do you like to go?
I have an enclave of friends in Chicago, and I really like to get up there as much as I can. And I've kind of left people along the way, along my trail in life. So I have friends all over the Southeast, really, and moving all the way up to Pennsylvania. So, wherever there's something exciting going on.
Absolutely. Are you going to Art Basel later this year?
I'm planning on it, yeah. My colleague Jim Benedict and I went last year and are planning on going again this year. And I've been before that several times, and it's always incredibly exhausting, but incredibly refreshing too, because you just see so much. It's really like kind of overhaul at the time, but go back and reflect on it. And to me, it's always kind of affirming to be sort of like recognizing things that not that seem similar necessarily to my work, but it's about sort of tapping into the current zeitgeist. Like you feel like you are a part of something that, so to speak. Even if I'm not showing in Basel or anything, but I feel like I'm right, that I'm a part of it then.
Absolutely.
So.
It's a real immersion type experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like basically 24 hours the whole time.
Yeah.
You're down there.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love Chicago as well.
Mm-hmm.
DC, New York.
Mm-hmm. I also really like to cook.
What do you like to cook?
I'm vegetarian, so I cook everything that falls in that category, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever use recipes unless I'm like baking something like a pastry that requires a little bit more accurate measuring, maybe.
Yes.
But I just kind of like to open up the fridge, see what I've got, or buy certain things and just see what I can make out of it. My dad always says I'm really good at at taking leftovers and turning them into something completely different than what they were before,
Mm-hmm.
So it's all an experiment, I guess. But I do really like to cook, and I really like to walk, so I go for a lot of walks.
Yeah, me too.
And I really like camping and hiking and swimming and things like that you have to plan a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's a great day today.
I know, it's really beautiful. I didn't like the really cold weather that we got.
We don't get much of it, but when we get it,
I just didn't like the no transition, like it was just warm, and then cold.
Yeah. It's a really bitter kind of cold too. Like
Yeah.
it's very it's like a humid cold.
Mm-hmm. What else do you want to know?
Let's see. What are your parents' names?
Sheila and Joe.
Sheila and Joe.
Hmm?
Your sister, your older sister or younger sister?
Older.
How much older?
She's 2.5 years older.
Fantastic. What are your plans for 2013 and beyond? Where's this Lily Kuonen bandwagon heading?
Hello.
Howdy. How you doing, man?
Great.
Good.
Good.
Chilling. Enjoying the weather. You too.
Well, I have a show booked for the spring of 2014 at the Crisp Ellert Art Museum at Flagler,
Excellent.
which is exciting. I have several things lined up I have several shows and things happening almost every month to at least April of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll be starting to teach in our low residency MFA program at JU this summer,
Mm-hmm.
which we're excited about starting. And I'm excited because we'll get a whole new batch of people coming in, something interesting to deal with. I love all this leftover Halloween stuff that's going on. So those are all things on the immediate horizon. The more and more I'm here in Jacksonville, the more I feel a part of something. I feel like I'm meeting some really great people, and some things are coming out of that, which are exciting. Particularly meeting Stacy Boucher. She's kind of facilitated a few things with me, and then I've worked with her and Jim on their upcoming publication that's part of Feast of Flowers and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like I'm settling into something, I guess, a little bit.
Good.
Should we go back that way?
Sure. Guess we should get on the sidewalk.
Sidewalk?
Yeah. I'm gonna try the sidewalk, see how that works.
Yeah. I also really enjoy being, this is the very academic side of me, I really enjoy being a part of conferences and sort of academic research and things, and so I have some upcoming speaking engagements, and just came off of one in October, and I find those really invigorating too, completely, ideas and things like that generate out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always kind of an ulterior side of it.
What kind of classes do you teach at JU?
I teach foundational level classes, so I teach most of our sort of beginning level classes, drawing and 2D design, and then
All right.
and then with the MFA, I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm teaching yet, but I know that I've been assigned something.
Where did you go to school?
Where did I go to school?
Yeah. get your training and such?
Yeah. It's a beautiful tree.
Oh yeah.
I got my undergrad at the University of Central Arkansas in Conway, Arkansas. And then I got my MFA from Savannah College of Art and Design.
Sweet. Savannah's lovely.
This is very nice.
I don't think that's about it. How can people find out more about your work? Get in contact with you and
Yeah.
such buy things.
I have a website,
Mm-hmm.
lilykuonen.com.
Perfect.
My studio mate also has a website, tiffanyleach.com, that she also just recently renovated. The two artists that are going to be showing with us also, I think Eric has a website. I'm not sure about Jesse. We are in the works for the Clay and Canvas Studio is kind of something that we've been slowly, not necessarily so slowly, but we've been kind of with each show we target something new for us to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I talked a little bit about how we want to reach out to the people in our community and then also feature certain artists, and that's in kind of a
Hello. Hey.
a general trend that we have wanted to do all along. But then there's always these other things that you can think about, like, oh, are we going to have a website for the Clay and Canvas Studio, or are we going to have a blog, or are we going to do something else? But we haven't solidly landed on what we want to do. It is something that we are obviously invested in, Tiffany and I both together, and we're happy about what we've had so far. We've had pretty good turnouts for things, and I'm always kind of pleasantly surprised because the first show we had, I didn't know anybody, and we still had a great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a community that's responsive to what we're doing, and that's a really great thing. We are not located in Cork, but we are located near Cork, so I think there's a certain amount of sort of already understood interest, in the area. So yeah, we're just kind of thinking about more and more what we can do. She and I both, we can't really do more than 2 of these open studios a year because we also have other shows that we work on, but this is a good way for us, and it's a great way for us to keep sort of tapping into the place where we are, to show what we're working on, currently. And the open studio, I really love it as a platform because it's less formal than a gallery opening per se.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the gallery component to it, where we're featuring Eric and Jesse's work. But for us, it's really more of a this is what's going on, this is where we work, this is what we do in this space,
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a little bit more about hospitality and kind of opening up your space with people and inviting them to be a part of that. You're asking me lots of questions about the creative process, and this is really an opportunity to really share that.
Yes.
So, as a platform, I find it really great.
Absolutely. Where is the studio?
It is located on Roselle Street. It is at 2642 Roselle Street, and we are suite number 6 in a 1-story warehouse. Yeah. I'll take you there.
Okay. I may ask you some more questions when we get there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.